Hey everyone, BioFan here. The post-credit scene in Dragon Age Inquisition was one of the most shocking, and possibly most confusing scenes in the entire Dragon Age series. Like my other Hidden Gems videos, I'll be pointing out things you may have missed, but this one will work a little differently as it's more of an analysis and breakdown of a particular scene. I've slowed several parts of the scene down, or zoomed in, to illustrate my findings. Okay, let's begin. The scene starts off with something pretty interesting. Flemeth is interacting with an Eluvian. Notice how the direction of the spirity wispy stuff goes into the mirror, and eventually the light as well. The direction of the wispy flow is something to keep in mind throughout the scene. Now there's something familiar about the light. It looks an awful lot like the old god soul that Flemeth extracts from Kieran earlier in the game. This scene occurs regardless of whether or not the dark ritual was performed in Dragon Age Origins, which means it's not necessarily the soul of the old god or Themiel. We also know from Dragon Age 2 that Flemeth can break her soul into parts, or pieces, so the identity of the soul she sends through the Eluvian has many possibilities. Flemeth then greets Solas and addresses him as the Dread Wolf, stating she knew he would come and that he should not have given his orb to Corypheus. Solas states that he was too weak to unlock the orb's power after his slumber. He then continues on to say that the failure is his fault, and that he should pay the price for it. Let's take a moment to address their surroundings. Judging from the tree statues, Eluvian, and tile style, they are very likely in an elven temple or ruin of some sort. There's also Arbor Wilds style flora present. Flemeth and Solas then embrace. Their behavior makes it seem as if their relationship is very close. Solas states that the people, or elves, need him. He then tells Flemeth that he is sorry. Flemeth states that she is sorry as well, and then calls him old friend. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. Solas looks up at Flemeth, and his face suddenly is surrounded by green stuff. The spirity wispy stuff then begins to flow out of Flemeth and into Solas as she gasps and begins to lose consciousness. Solas catches Flemeth as she begins to fall to the ground. There is a wolf statue on the same half of the scene as Solas, representing the Dread Wolf, and a dragon statue on the same side as Flemeth, representing Mythal. Just thought I'd point out that interesting bit of symbolism. There is one intact Eluvian and two broken ones on either side of it. Note that the center Eluvian stays active for the entirety of the scene. Solas carefully lowers Flemeth's body to the ground as the spirity wispy stuff goes into him. Her entire body goes to black, including her clothes, for some reason. And finally, Solas's eyes glow as smoky stuff comes out of them. Note that the smoke has a different appearance from the spirity wispy stuff. Now let's move on to another piece of curiosity relating to both the ending and Solas, his unfinished art. As you complete major events in the story throughout the game, Solas creates a painting depicting the event, and sometimes the decision you make during it. In the post-game, there's an unfinished piece of artwork on the final portion of the wall. This is personally just my interpretation of the drawing. If you have a different idea of what the art may be depicting, feel free to write it down in the comments. I see a wolf in a bow-like position to what looks to be sort of like a leg or foot, perhaps? The leg the wolf is bowing to has a sword in it. From the shading, it looks as if there's blood because the sword is stabbing the foot. I think this final artwork somehow depicts the scene after the credits, and some form of betrayal by the looks of the blood and the sword implanted in the foot-like object. What are your thoughts and theories on the final scene? What are your thoughts on the final piece of Solas' artwork? Tell me down in the comments.